Boys and girls, today I'm going to be teaching you your grammar video. I know it's not Wednesday and I know you're sad that it's not Grammar Wednesday, but you're learning it on Thursday instead. But I'm going to teach you from home because I wasn't able to be here today. So your I can statement should still be on the board. It should say I can identify coordinate and subordinate conjunctions, and I can combine sentences using subordinate conjunctions. So I have a couple of anchor charts I made at home that I'm going to walk you through, and then you're going to do the activity on your own in just a few minutes. Alright, so here is, I'm sorry if it's shaky, but here's the anchor chart I started. Yesterday, you should have learned about what a clause is, and we've learned about this in the past this year, so this is a review. A clause is a part of a sentence. It can be a complete thought on its own, combined with another thought, or it could be a fragment. So we've talked about this year, fragments are parts of a sentence that don't make sense on their own. They need more to complete the thought or the idea. Alright, so there's two types of clauses that you learned yesterday. The first type is the independent clause. When you're given an independent clause, it's the main part of the sentence, and it can stand by itself and make sense. Okay, so I put a sentence under here. I must be craving Girl Scout cookies because my sentence says, I already purchased Girl Scout cookies, but I bought more from the girls at Walmart. So there are two independent clauses in here. You can talk through this video if I give a pause. So, can you find one independent clause in here? Hopefully you said out loud, I already purchased Girl Scout cookies. That is a clause that could stand alone by itself and make sense. Okay, if I cover up this part right here, but I bought more from the girls at Walmart, that would make sense. I already purchased Girl Scout cookies. That makes sense on its own. What about if I cover this part up here? I bought more from the girls at Walmart. Does that make sense on its own? It should. It has a subject and a predicate. So these two clauses together form a complete sentence, and it's a compound sentence. Let's look at our second type of clauses. We have a dependent clause. When you have a dependent clause, we call it a subordinate clause. You'll see that I underlined the word sub in subordinate. Do you see that? We've been talking about Latin and Greek roots this year, and that's a prefix that means below or under. So basically, a subordinate clause cannot exist by itself. It's under the rule of another clause. It needs another clause added to it to make sense. So that's why underneath it I said it cannot exist alone, and it depends on a main clause to make sense. Look at my example sentence I made for you here. If I were not sick, I would be here today. If I were not sick is your dependent clause because, yes, it is your dependent clause because it does not make sense on its own. If I were not sick, what? It needs the rest of the sentence, I would be here today, which is your independent clause to complete it. Okay, let's look at the back of this. You've learned this year about fanboys, and I think that anchor chart is still hanging up in the classroom. We're not really going to be doing too much today with fanboys, but we are going to review them. You know that they're coordinating conjunctions. So basically a fanboy, for, and, nor, but, or, yet, and the word so can be joined together or can be a connector between two complete thoughts or two independent clauses. Let's look at the first sentence. I like to bake and I like to run. The word and I circled for you because it shows that it's connecting I like to bake, I like to run. Alright, the next one. Jane wasn't tall enough, so she couldn't ride the roller coaster. So is your fanboy word. It's your coordinating conjunction, and it's going to connect she couldn't ride the roller coaster with Jane wasn't tall enough. So that's just a little review. Alright, let's get into the real stuff. Today's main focus is on subordinating conjunctions. They are words that transition between time, place, and cause and effect relationships in a sentence. So take a look at this whole list of words here. We have after, although, as, because, before, even if, even though, if, in order that, in order to, once, provided that, rather than, since, so that, than, that, though, unless, until, when, where, whenever, where, whereas, wherever, whether, while, and why. Okay, I'm going to give you a pop quiz, and I want you to label these in order. Ready? Go. Just kidding. I can even joke with you when I'm gone. I'm not expecting you to memorize these words, but when you need them later on today, we can pause the video on the screen at 5 minutes and 30 seconds, and you can use these to help you combine your sentences. So no, you do not have to memorize these words. They're just here to help you. Notice one thing, the word so that. You might notice that so was a word as a fanboy. It was our coordinating conjunction. But we added the word that to it. Let me show you. Hold on. Let me show you this weird rule alert. We know that grammar has so many weird rules. Here's one of them. At the top it says, if so is by itself, it is a coordinating conjunction, so a fanboy. I went to the store without money, so I bought nothing. We are combining the sentence, I went to the store without nothing, and we're combining the sentence, I went to the store without money, and we're using so to combine it with, I bought nothing. Those are two complete thoughts. But if you add the word that to so, and you make the phrase so that, it is a subordinate conjunction. So look at the sentence here. I went to the store so that I could buy some milk. Do you see the difference? All right, that's just our little weird rule alert for today. All right, back to our next page. Hold on, let me get organized here. Let's look at these 3 example sentences that have subordinating conjunctions in them. Okay, the first one says, you will be able to drive when you get older. Which word, now remember you can interact in this as long as you are talking just about the video, not other things. Can you find with your group, or not with your group, can you find with your shoulder partner what your subordinating conjunction is? If you said when, you are correct. Let me circle it for you. When is our subordinating conjunction. You get older does not make sense on its own. Not really. So we're using when to combine that thought with you will be able to drive. Okay? Let's try another one. See if you can guess or find the subordinating conjunction. I turned the key in order to start the car. Do you see the subordinating conjunction? This one is a phrase of 3 words, in order to. Let me see if I can circle these together. In order, and then the word to is added to it, okay? I turn the key in order to start the car. Start the car really does not make much sense on its own. And even if we said, I turn the key, okay, great, you turn the key what? So in order to kind of helps combine those 2 thoughts together. Let's try one more. We will begin driving after you buckle your seatbelt. Excuse me. Can you and your shoulder partner find the subordinating conjunction? Hopefully you said after. We will begin driving after you buckle your seatbelt. Okay, let's look though at a new rule with subordinating conjunctions. Okay, this says if the subordinating conjunction is the first word in a sentence, it needs a comma where the clauses are joined. So here's our comma rule. You'll also listen and you'll hear that natural pause. You know, we've talked about reader's intuition. This is I guess, writer's intuition, you'll hear that pause and know that that's also where your comma goes. But just listen here. When you get older, you will be able to drive. Well, our first sentence said, you will be able to drive when you get older. Did you see that? So we've kind of changed it around. When you get older, you'll be able to drive. So when is still our subordinating conjunction. And notice that our clause, when you get older, we're combining it with you will be able to drive. So since our subordinating conjunction is not in the middle of our sentence, our comma is going to act there in place to show that we're combining those sentences together. So I just circled the comma after the word older. All right. Our second sentence example I showed you earlier said, I turned the key in order to start the car. So we're going to change that sentence around a little bit and say, in order to start the car, I turn the key. What is your coordinating conjunction again? You said it earlier. Hopefully you remembered it was in order to. You go ahead and circle that. In order to start the car, I turn the key. Now what do I have to add since my subordinating conjunctions at the beginning of my sentence? I have to make sure that after that first clause I have my comma. Okay. All right, my last sentence we showed you earlier, right here, said we will begin driving after you buckle your seatbelt. After was your subordinating conjunction. Let's look here. After you buckle your seatbelt, we will begin driving. So after came at the beginning of our sentence. After you buckle your seatbelt, do you hear that natural pause? We will begin driving. That's where we combine our two clauses. So belt needs a comma after it to show that those two clauses are being combined with each other. Let's see. So that's pretty much it, boys and girls. We talked about that weird rule alert with the word so, but you are going to be going back to your seat in just a minute. You're going to be given a front and back sheet, so make sure that you don't forget to do the back. But you're going to be combining sentences using subordinating conjunctions, and you need to remember the comma rule as well. So it might be a good idea to pause this video right around here so that you can see these words in this anchor chart. But good luck, and I cannot wait to see you guys Friday. I miss you. Have a great day. Bye.